Well, I'm coming to you today from a store for Luckin Coffee, which is a Chinese startup that's going to be debuting in the U.S. on Friday. And this company is trying to capitalize on the fact that Chinese consumers are just feeling a lot more price sensitive these days because of the trade war, because of the economic slowdown, and the latest data which was released today, didn't really help. So the April data disappointed. Industrial output rose by 5.4%, but that missed the expectation of 6.5%. Fixed asset investment also came in higher by 6.1%, but that's again a miss of versus an estimate of 6.4%. And the retail sales numbers were the worst that China has seen since 2003, higher by 7.2%, but still much lower than what people had been expecting at 8.6%. So that's just been fueling a lot of fears that President Trump's tariffs are going to hurt what people have been hoping for, a recovery in the second half of the year. There's been a lot of speculation today about how the Chinese is going to have to come in, the Chinese government is going to have to come in with more stimulus. And in fact, we heard President Trump or saw President Trump's tweet overnight about how the Chinese would probably have to stimulate the economy here. And in fact, the foreign ministry weighed in on the Trump administration's comments about the Chinese economy, saying today that the U.S. is not the economic authority of China and that China has confidence that it can withstand any external shock. However, just to maybe give a sense of the sensitivity of the authorities here. There were a lot of people today on social media asking what the impact of a trade war would be on ordinary people, and the responses to that request were blocked. So I think that really does show that the government here is worried about how the public is going to respond when it comes to the possible impact of the trade war on them.
What exactly are they frightened of, Eunice? I mean, is it civil unrest? I mean, to what extent could we see ordinary citizens express their discontent?
Well, they would be, at the end of the day, worried about anything that would lead to social instability. Of course, the Communist Party is very, very sensitive about that. And also, right now on people's minds is the June 4th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre. So that's something that people here are, in terms of the authorities, are very sensitive about. So the idea that people would start to complain, would go to their, to rise up in any way is something that the authorities would be worried about. However, right now, I don't think the temperature of ordinary people, just like middle-class people or farmers, is at the level where there's going to be protests. Where you could see unrest is in the export sector, because there have been a lot of job losses in those sectors, and people have been complaining and saying that there are measures that the government is taking to try to stabilize the sector or help certain companies, but that a lot of those initiatives haven't really come to fruition, and they're not immediate enough. So that's something that the authorities here would be worried about.
Eunice, talk to me about Luckin Coffee, and do they try and make sure their consumers know that they are a domestic brand compared to Starbucks being an American brand, and has that picked up of late more than in the past?
I don't necessarily think it's been picking up more than in the past, but the company definitely has been emphasizing that it is a Chinese company. In fact, if you look at the logo, it is a deer that is native to China. And the company wants to make sure that people know that it is a Chinese company. Another interesting fact is that Luckin has a store at Forbidden City. And, of course, this comes many, many years afterwards, but Starbucks used to have a store in Forbidden City, and then it was booted out. So this is a company that really wants to make sure that people know that it is a Chinese company. And in addition to that, it has been marketing a lot that it understands Chinese consumers, especially young Chinese, really, really well. That's one of the reasons why I'm standing in this store, because this is what they call a pickup store, and it's essentially a coffee counter as opposed to a cafe. They say that Starbucks focuses on the cafe, but that young Chinese like to just pick up their coffee and go and have deliveries. And also, you don't see any cash register in the store, because Luckin says, who uses cash these days? Young Chinese don't, so they use their mobile phone. They don't need to use cash. And then the third point is that they've been marketing a lot of their drinks to say that these our drinks are very Chinese, tailored to the Chinese, because they have, for example, fruit tea with cream cheese, which is really, really popular. Just like a wider trend that's been going on here.
Very popular.
And orange soda with your Americano, which is supposed to be experimental and interesting. But one thing that they don't have here, which I was surprised by, is that they don't have a way of heating up any of the meals or any of the food. And that is really kind of odd, because Chinese people generally like to have warm meals every single time. So even, for example, Coca-Cola, you could get it here boiled. This is one of the places where, rare places probably, that people ask you if you want your beer cold or if you want it warm. So people like to have warm food and warm drinks.
Weird.
So
Hey,
I was a
Eunice,
bit surprised by that.
I was surprised you said Tiananmen. Could we sit here and have a conversation about Tiananmen and stay on the air?
You know what? I'm not in front of a monitor, so I can't see what's happening.
I don't think we
getting
could.
censored at all.
I still don't think that's possible. I was surprised to hear you
It's
even
possible,
bring it up.
yeah.
But anyway.
If there were pictures, yeah, but we're not censored, right? You and I are not censored, so we can have a conversation about it. It's just that Chinese people might not see it.
I could get censored really quick right here, but I'm not going to. Anyway, thank you. Thank you, Eunice.